Alright guys, welcome back. Something a little bit different here. Same terrain, but a different era and a couple other things. What you're looking at is the after the first turn of the Battle of Agincourt. What I'm using for this is blocks from Commands and Colors and a hodgepodge of rules, namely Hordes and Heroes Medieval from Kallistra, the same folks that brought you this fine terrain. They have a number of things on their website you can download for free. This being one of them, Hordes and Heroes Medieval. There's also Hordes and Heroes Fantasy, some World War I rules, and that may be it. But for free, I have to say, I'm somewhat impressed. Perhaps these aren't the best rules out there, but I'd say they're definitely above average. And again, you have to bear in mind that I am certainly no aficionado of medieval fighting. Barely have any of that stuff under the belt. But just from gameplay so far, I'm pleased. It's been a happy experience thus far. Now with the setup here, I've gone with, you can't see this because it's whiting out. There's the monitor there with a setup from the GMT game, I think it's Men of Iron, and they have an Agincourt scenario. I stole the setup from that. You can get that online. It's just there. And based the setup off of that, and then everything else more or less is from Hordes and Heroes Medieval. Now these rules are not overly complex or overbearing, and maybe you could learn them in an hour or less. Just start moving some stuff around and working through them, and you'll be pleasantly surprised as well. You can organize your own army on here, but again, what I've done, having stolen the setup from GMT's Commands and Colors, or Men of Iron series, didn't need to organize an army. So what we have here, let's see. Let's go to your sequence of play. You have the command move, in which generals can move. Then side A does its tactical movement. And then the shooting phase is simultaneous, followed by hand-to-hand, which is also simultaneous. And then run through them again for the opposing side. That's it for the sequence of play. You've got your terrain explained. Troop formations, now you do have column and line in here. Column aids in movement, and line aids in fighting. If you're in column when you fight or fire, you're only going to be able to use those two front blocks. So you want to be in, or I'm sorry, if you're in column, you're only going to be able to use the two front blocks, and then if you're in line, you can use all four. Yeah, so, all right, yeah, sorry, and then we have, let's see, your zones of control are in here. Moving backwards and sideways, I don't think only infantry can do that. Passing through friendly troops. Command and control, your leaders have a certain hex range under which troops are under control from a line of sight. Now I've variated that up here, and if I could break this down, I guess so you'll see the yellow blocks. Those represent Henry V's units, all under his command, and then of course the blue blocks represent who is that? Baron Camoys, that's his units. And then the whites up here would be Plantagenet, 2nd Duke of York. Those are his units. And I'm using a, not just line of sight, but chain link. If that chain is broken via disruption or an enemy unit, then the command line is also broken. Then we have, let's see, removal of stands and units. The interesting thing here is when you get down to 3 stands, removed with only one stand left. That unit's gone. You don't roll around with one stand fighting. That's it. So all of these are comprised of 4 stands, every unit out here. But all you got to do is knock 3 of them out and the unit's gone. Your shooting's in here, namely for crossbows and arrows, or archers rather, and longbows. I think there's a 2 hex range on that stuff. A lot of longbows for the British. So you have a longbow unit here, a longbow unit here. That's a longbow unit, and then we have another longbow unit there, and longbow, 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 and then just regular, let's see, men-at-arms here. Let's see, another longbow unit here, and the baggage train there. And then for the French, a little mix of stuff here. We do have some mounted units. Let's see, this would be a mounted unit as with that. And then we have a mounted unit there, and a mounted unit there. A lot of men-at-arms up front. And let's see, archer, archer, crossbow, crossbow, another archer, and crossbow. And then more men-at-arms down through here. And then for the commanders on the French side, we're looking at, let's see, all the red units up here, which have just now have, after this last turn, a break in the line of communication here. There should be another unit there. But regardless, we have, and I'm going to butcher the name here, Valois, Duke of Orleans. That is his units, the red ones. And then behind him are the yellows, which is de Rambure, or Rambures. And then the purple units here are going to represent Jean, 1st Duke of Agincourt. And then down here where the green ones are going to be Count Forkenberg, or something to that effect. So that's them. And then let's see, now we get to shooting, which shooting is fairly straightforward. Now you're going to roll a number of d12 equal to the number of stands in a unit. 2 hex range, you cannot fire through, folks. Not sure how I feel about that rule. Seems like you should be able to fire over, folks. Nonetheless, based on the type of unit here, so this is the 100 Years' War English Agincourt. So the longbow here have a 6+, so you will hit on 6+, but that number can be modified based on who you're firing at. So say if you're firing at a French men-at-arms unit, his armor is a 2. So instead of your 6+, you'll then fire at 8+ to hit. Once you've got your hits tallied, that's not it. You're going to go to this combat results table, and the number of hits over here is going to be cross-referenced with the target class. So again, if the longbows were firing at French mounted men-at-arms, they have a class, that's a class B. So let's say we get 5 hits on a class B unit. That is flee, disrupted, and 1 stand lost. So you would remove 1 block, you would flee, and you'd put a disruption on there. Hand-to-hand combat, a little more involved, but not much. Once you are adjacent to an enemy unit, there's no shooting allowed. It's hand-to-hand stuff. Now, you'll notice, or you may not have noticed, these blue arrows, those represent stakes. And you'll follow the arrow tip to the other arrow tip to determine the boundary in which those stakes lie. So this whole front of this longbow unit, I think all the longbow units have stakes in front of them. Now, what that means is, during the first round of combat in the game, there's an impact factor that can be added on as a bonus for both sides, if they have it, to their overall roll during melee. Now these stakes negate that for both sides, so no impact bonuses are allowed with those stakes, and that has saved British units in this first turn due to, well, we have some attacking French mounted units there that didn't do so well. as well as there that didn't do so well, because those impact bonuses again are negated by the stakes. Now when you do fight in combat, here's what you're going to do. You are, let me find it. You're going to take, to get your combat result, you're going to take the combat factor, which is your hand-to-hand combat here. So let's say we have men-at-arms, English men-at-arms here. They have a hand-to-hand combat factor of 6. Now that +1 would be your impact bonus. But again, remember, stakes negate that. So you would take that combat factor plus the number of stands, or in this case, the number of blocks, plus your impact bonus if applicable, plus a random factor, a d6 or 2d6 for units posting a general. So if you have say Henry V in the same hex, you're going to roll 2d6 instead of the typical 1d6. You add all those together. For the attacking side, you do the same thing for the defending side, and you'll come up with 2 numbers, right? You take the difference of those numbers, and you go back to your combat results table, and you'll take the again, the difference in those numbers and cross-reference that with the target class of the, I assume, the defender. I'll have to go back over that. Not sure whose target class you're going to look at, the attacker or the defender, I forget. And then I think it's the defender. Let's see. And then your combat results. You can have a recoil result, which is essentially a retreat 1 hex. You can be disrupted, and disruption has an effect on your combat performance. Now the interesting thing with disruption, to remove it, says any disrupted unit will automatically rally at the end of its side's movement phase after all ordered movement has been completed. You just simply remove it, and that's that. So you can also have a removal of stands. You can be forced to flee. I don't recall exactly what fleeing entails. I haven't had to deal with that yet. But here we go, flee. Unit that has to flee turns, okay, 180 degrees and moves a full normal move plus 1 additional hex. Now the movement has been adjusted for the particular battle here. Everybody moves 1 hex. Now some in an atypical game, or I should say in a typical game, the movement would be greater, but as the fields are all muddy and discombobulated, I've got everybody moving only 1 hex at a time. Now, obviously, this benefits the British, who can just lob arrows at the French as they continue to slowly plod down the field towards them. Also, during that first round, I've caused a few units to recoil, which again allows British longbow units to fire a longer duration as they try to come down the field. So there's that. That's pretty much it. Again, this is the Hordes and Heroes Medieval Falling Trees edition. I tell you what, you know, these trees look great, but I have to say, I spend more time knocking over and setting up these stupid trees. Hordes and Heroes Medieval, this is from, go to the Kallistra website. You can download it for free, as far as I remember, that's how I got it. And you can also get your medieval army list free, which has all your stats for whatever you need. And it's not just 100 Years War, there's stats for the Scottish. If it's not Scottish, it's crap. The feudal English, the Irish, with their whiskey bonus, Viking, Norman, etc. It's Saxon, Romano, British, lots of stuff in here, but again, this is free as well. And yeah, so after the first turn, it's moving a little slowly. There are no designated amount of turns in here. It's just simply whoever's the first to lose all their leaders, or greater than half of their units. So that comes out to The British need to knock out 13 French units, while the French only need to knock out 6. So, but again, also the British, for their command range, it's a little bit better with a 3 compared to the French with a command range of 2. But again, I've amended that so it doesn't necessarily apply the way it's supposed to, because I do the command link chains, and everybody's in command as long as they're adjacent to a unit that's in command, etc. But once that link's broken, then command is broken. So that's how I'm playing it. This has been Agincourt using the Hordes and Heroes Medieval rules from Kallistra. Any thoughts you guys have on this battle? Anything you've tried board game, cardboard wise, or miniatures wise, let me know. I would also like to add a thank you to the Medieval Warrior, I believe is his name. Check out his YouTube channel. Anything and everything to do with medieval stuff, he's doing a great service there. And also, he made some beautiful unit cards for the sword point rules. And the gentleman was nice enough to share those with me, and I will be incorporating those in the future. Once my sword point rules arrive, I broke down and ordered those thanks to Medieval Warrior. And the things that he's shown me, I'm sold, so I've sprung a little cash on those and await the arrival of these sword point rules. But in the meantime, Hordes and Heroes Medieval is doing just fine. So, alright, I've gone on long enough. You guys be safe. I'll talk to you soon.